Hey there, it's me, Helena. Welcome back to the channel where we talk all about astrocartography and the energy and stories of place. I'm a big believer that where you live absolutely matters and impacts your life, your energy, and your story. And we can see this in our relocated charts when we're looking at the world, as well as our astrocartography maps. If you're new around here, hi, I'm Helena, and I make videos all about locational astrology, astrocartography, and the stories of place and how where we live matters and impacts us. And I'm on a journey to travel around the world and experience my lines to help guide and teach others to find the best places in the world for them. Before we get started, do know that I offer one-on-one private consultations as well as my astrocartography readings. I have a beginner's course as well as a more in-depth locational astrology course with dozens of hours of content, lessons, our community, Facebook live streams, all of that you can find in the links below. With that said, I want to talk about a line that I'm living on currently. One of my favorite lines that I've ever lived on anywhere in the world. It's my favorite place where I found home, where I feel most connected and settled and feel like I could grow old here. I could retire here. Like, I love it so much. And I want to share my journey and experience with you, but also talk about the 4 angles with Venus lines and what you can expect when traveling to a Venus line on your astrocartography map. Let's get started. Venus is one of the benefics in astrology, one of the most positive planets in astrology, and it represents things like love, romance, partnership, beauty, design, art, harmony, ease, pleasure, leisure. So when we're thinking about going to a Venus line, those are the key words to think of if you're planning to visit. Now, this really depends on your natal Venus in your chart. For instance, if you've got Venus in Taurus or Libra, this is going to be a really supported place for you because Venus is at home and very comfortable in those signs. So be sure to look at the zodiac sign that you yourself have Venus in your chart. Venus, when it's placed in the sign of Scorpio or Virgo, fall, detriment, these experiences are going to play out differently. Venus is going to be expressed in different ways. And so be sure to check out your sign placement to understand more of the story, as well as the aspects that are hitting your natal Venus. If your Venus is squaring Saturn, that story of Venus square Saturn in your chart is going to play out as a theme when you go to a Venus line. So looking at the sign placement, the aspects, as well as if Venus is your benefic in your chart. So if you have a night chart, Venus is your best planet that'll support you and is on your side. And if you have a day chart, Jupiter is going to be more supportive for you. So with that said, knowing that Venus is very pleasure-filled, connected with the sensory experience of life, it's all about art and design and beauty and love and partnership. Let's now go into the 4 angles associated with Venus. So first off, we have the Venus Ascendant, and you'll see it on your map as the Venus ASC symbol. Venus on the Ascendant means that Venusian energy is emanating from you. So that energy is coming from you rather than to you. Rather than an external thing coming toward you in life, you are emanating and seeing life through that lens of Venus. Venus on the Ascendant can be really lovely for your image, your physical body, that sense of pleasure, but also that sense of you emanating that energy coming from you. You might be very appreciative here. Really love to soak in the simple pleasures of life, the sensory experiences, the simple joys. Being on a Venus Ascendant line, you'll feel more relaxed, more pleasure-filled, and you might feel like you're really blooming here, blossoming here, feeling very relaxed and comfortable in your own skin, feeling that self-care, that self-love, and spending money on yourself, enjoying yourself, getting some good food, good drinks, maybe even being in a partnership. Which brings me to my next angle, Venus on the Descendant, the DSC symbol. This Venus line shows that Venusian energy coming to you in an external way. And this can be through other people, meeting a partner, meeting the love of your life. I find a lot of people meet their partners on Venus Descendant lines, or when Venus relocates to the 7th house in the relocated chart. This is actually where I met my own husband, actually when Venus relocated to my 7th house. This is also a place where it's wonderful for a honeymoon or a vacation or a romantic couples trip, because there's that sense of love within partnership and that energy emanating from your partner and feeling that energy of love and pleasure and romance. One of my favorite places that I've ever been to with my husband was Costa Costa Rica, and it was one of the most romantic, like wonderful vacations we've ever had together as a couple, and it was on my Venus Descendant line. It's actually funny because looking back at all the travels my husband and I have done together over the years, all these countries, all these places, his favorite place that he's ever been to together is Costa Rica. Venus was emanating from him, my partner, and that trip was so wonderful and one of the most romantic trips we've ever been on. Next up, the third angle is the Venus IC line, and this is actually the line that I've been living on for several years here in France. This is where I found my sense of home. This is where I felt like, oh my gosh, this is my place. I love it here, because Venus is appreciation and values. And when I moved here, Venus relocated to my fourth house. So if you see that Venus relocates to the fourth house in your relocated chart, that's really something to look at, because people I find often love places where Venus relocates to the fourth house. It's a sense of roots, land, place, home, culture, tradition, ancestry, the past, that IC angle. And Venus is appreciation, values, and that sense of pleasure. Now, Venus also rules money. And so one literal thing you can expect when going to a Venus IC line is spending a lot of money when you choose to move here. Spending a lot of money on your home, your design, the interior of your home, the exterior of your home, the aesthetics or the physical appearance of things being really important in terms of your domestic personal home life. And this is definitely something that I experienced when I first moved to Strasbourg, as well as when I first moved to Metz. Is both times when I first moved to this line directly on it, I went to the shop and I bought all these plants. Like, I spent hundreds of dollars on plants, like beautiful plants, not like, you know, something from a grocery store. I usually go to like Trader Joe's or something and get some flowers and plants in the home. Though these are like really like expensive, high quality, beautiful vases. Actually, so you can kind of see just these beautiful vases, these like gorgeous handmade vases that are just so gorgeous, so like pieces of art, right? I went to this like really beautiful florist shop here in France, and I just went all out and I bought all these plants, all these like plant things for the home when I first moved here. And it's just, this is just one of my joys when I'm living here in this place in Metz, France, is I love decoration. I love making it beautiful. I love hanging up art and work. And I've purchased a lot of handmade art and paintings from local artists in the area, and I just decorate my home. It's one of my favorite joys living here, and that's a literal representation of the Venus I see. Aside from the literal representation of Venus I see, there's just that sense of safety and home and feeling that appreciation of where you live. I often find a lot of people start businesses like Etsy shop owners or artists or people who make things, whether you're working with textiles or fabrics or art or creativity in some way. You may start a business or a creative hobby or project when you're home living on a Venus IC line, that being a big center point and like focal point of your time living in that location. What you can expect when moving to a Venus IC line is feeling very comfortable, safe, connected, and really wanting to build a beautiful home life, a beautiful personal domestic life. Venus IC lines are also one of the best places to be a mom, to be a parent, to have children, to be at home, caring for your home and family life. It's a wonderful Venusian kind of way of tapping in that energy. And last, we have the opposite of the IC, the more personal side. We now have the MC or the midheaven, which is the highest point of visibility. So we're talking about career, we're talking about work, we're talking about vocation, social status, and public reputation. When Venus is on the MC, I found that there's a couple things this can represent. First is if you're an artist, if you're into fashion, if you're into design, if you're into anything in the arts, this is one of the best places for being recognized for being a creator or creative or artist or designer or what have you. Venus on the MC is really great for being seen and recognized in that way. It's also very helpful overall for career. Venus does rule money and resources, and so there can be some support with that, as well as work involving art, design, fashion, creativity, home interiors, home design, but also money, like working in money or financial fields. Often someone who moves to a Venus MC line, if they're not working or they're not focused on job or career or building a creative endeavor, they're often married to someone, and their reputation or how they're known is very connected with that Venusian side of life, whether it's their partnership, their relationship, that sense of beauty, art, having that pleasant, diplomatic, grace-filled, easygoing reputation and social status, whether it's in community or in their work or in their sense of contribution of what they're doing. So for all my designers, creatives, artistic people, whether you're making videos or painting or working with textiles or fabrics or fashion, interior design, check out your Venus MC lines. Even if you don't decide to move to Venus MC line, going to that place in the world will inspire your creativity and give you really amazing ideas for your business when you take it back home. For instance, let's say you've got a Venus MC line going through Italy. You could visit Italy and be really passionate about maybe the clothing that's in Italy, the fabrics, the textiles, the handbags, the leather, the way that things are made, and you'll feel so inspired by the way of life and how creation is made through artistic endeavors, materials, that you'll be inspired when you go back home to Canada or wherever you live and want to take what you gathered there and bring it into your business in wherever country you're living in. So this is an amazing way of using remote activation or literally visiting somewhere, getting inspiration, getting the idea, that being an important place for career, and then bringing it back somewhere else and then starting the business. So even if you don't want to move to Italy or move to Croatia or move wherever, you can use this technique to take into your own life wherever you are. Living on my Venus line is one of my favorite places I've ever lived. This is my home and I love it so much. I've lived on my Venus line for 2 years in Strasbourg, which was my favorite latitude that Sun-Uranus pairing. Lived for 2 years in Corsica, where that Venus line was also going through on a Sun-Saturn pairing. And now, after a year being in Biarritz on the other side of France on my Mercury line, I've moved back to my Venus line. I'm a little bit more close to that Saturn Ascendant and a Neptune node, which I don't like as much as going an hour south, which is why it's so important to look at the latitudes and the parens, those lines that go horizontally across your maps. And remember, where you live matters. Going an hour south, an hour north, a 30-minute drive this way, a 30-minute drive this way, checking out those local space lines and those parens to see what latitude you're on, it really makes a difference. Learning astrocartography and the energy of place has seriously changed my life and the thousands of people that I've worked with over the last 2 years. It's been amazing to see how people's lives changed and how opportunities come up and how you feel. And that's a big thing, your quality of life, how you feel from place to place. Where you are, where you go, where you travel, it really affects you. And it's an amazing technique and one that I hope that you have a fun journey with. If you wanted to learn more from me, check out my beginner's astro mapping course down below, as well as my locational astrology course program, which has a lot more amazing content there. And if you wanted to book a reading with me, see all the links down below, and I'm excited to work with you if your intuition feels it's a fit. I will see you guys in the next video as I prepare to travel to my next lines, Saturn line, and then my Moon and Jupiter line. So I'll keep you guys posted in the next astro vlog here on the channel. Be sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell so you don't miss any videos. I'll see you in the next one. Bye.